The language of deceit. Notes and extracts. Useful skills are life skills. Life skills are enablers. They should encourage the self, yet acknowledge the group. Study life skills rather than individual subjects. After all, our life skills are our survival skills, and to know what, when, where, why, and how to study is far more useful than to just study. Add into the mix that uniform state systems are full of myths that we readily believe without much conscious thought. Ideas such as academic success will equal life success, or that an education can be consciously given or imposed, or that other people's interests should be our interests. All education is an extension of life experience and must be seized or taken as its moment arrives. A real education prepares the student to embrace unique moments. The command and control based pyramid structure of the ubiquitous state education systems have an unspoken, deep-rooted goal of psychological systemization, incremental indoctrination, and social conditioning. This manifests itself in the visible avoidance of most of the essential principles of success, in turn eliminating creative free-thinking individuals from the middle and lower echelons of society. This results in the production of obedient servants rather than enlightened, undivided characters who can learn and then pass on their learning to the next generation. In order for the state system to achieve its unlimited goals, it is not entirely necessary for it to fail in any obvious way. It is only necessary that on certain issues it stumbles. It is only necessary that families become dissolved and distanced from the process of a real education, as administrators and middle people become ever increasingly unnecessary cogs in an overcomplicated process. It is a seemingly contradictory concept, but sometimes much less leads to much more. Miseducation can be countered through an application from home of activities that will inject real and practical principle skills into the lives of young people. Problems can be reversed through the preservation of parent-led alternative education possibilities that draw out innate abilities rather than enforce learned skills. However, it remains to be seen whether or not parents will embrace and fully understand the importance of so simple a concept as it's the parents, not the state, who must retain complete responsibility for and become active as best they can within their true positions as guardians and guides at the nucleus of society. The learning of 1,000 hours begins with a single second's focus and thought. Often it will begin close to the heart, at home. It usually does not begin at school, but when we face real-world issues and real-world problems, frequently when we are alone. When life dictates that we must find a solution in order to move forward, we must begin to ask ourselves questions. The challenge introduces us to the fact that simplicity is usually on the other side of complexity. That often in life we need to be able to pull in both directions, just not at the same time. It is not an irrelevant afterthought that ultimately the true test of a free and open society is the freedom to love without limit any person or spirit or God whom we choose, and study and share our knowledge of this love without fear of hindrance or interference from society or government. For that reason, and because there are always deeper levels to every topic, there is actually an extraordinary principle that governs our personal progress through life. The unspoken concepts. Students of life must fully understand the effect of the most recent human developments on society. They must be able to map both man-made and natural environmental changes. They must understand mediums of change and control affecting war, peace, religion, and belief. They must be able to adapt to the establishment of new norms and have a broad spectrum of knowledge in the areas of motivation of the individual and of the group, including skills in leadership, management, organization, and conflict resolution. These are topics that average people fear to discuss because careful and methodical examination of the topic require that we first evaluate ourselves and our own understandings and come to terms with our own ignorance and shortfalls. This is the road less traveled. It is hard for any free-thinking individual to find space or place for contemplation or divergent thought in a world so intent on micromanagement that the average person is nudged into a perception that the finite is infinite and that the infinite is finite. The language of deceit. Notes and extracts.